Hey everybody, my name's Chris Henderson, Saskatchewan recording artist. I'm hanging out with Mark and Joel here on the Sit Down podcast.
Hey diggers, thanks for watching and listening to our episodes. Please make sure that you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell to get notified when we have new episodes online. Find us on your favorite platforms like Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts.
And also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, you can get your new and used records on our website, funkymooserecords.ca.
How are you doing, Chris?
Oh, living the dream. As I've said in 2020, I'm living the dream, but it's just unfortunately turned into a nightmare sometimes.
No doubt. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with us this Friday night, man.
Yeah.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
You've got a busy weekend, I think.
I do. It's a nice change. It's been a quiet year in the whole music world. So looking forward to, I've got a show in Prince Albert on Saturday nights and with a couple of great artists, Jack Semple and Monroe and Patrick. And then we're going to be playing Saskatoon as well on Sunday. So it's going to be a fun weekend.
Oh, right on. Cool. Hopefully the weather holds up too. That PA Saskatoon drive can be kind of slippery sometimes, so be careful.
Oh yeah, it's I've spent a lot of years driving those roads in worse times of the year than this. So now having said that, I just jinxed myself. So
yeah. If you need a pit stop in between,
we're like in the middle of
right on.
There you go. Call us if you get a flat tire.
Yeah. I'll keep that in mind.
Right on. So where are you right now? Are you in, I feel like you're not in Estevan. Are you in Regina?
No, you know what? My wife and I moved to a small town. Some people intimately know it. It's Wilcox, Saskatchewan. So it's just south of Regina. We've been here for about 3 years, but I was born and raised in Estevan. Lived there till I was about 18 years old and went to school and worked in Regina for a while. And then, I used to say I lived in a van. Not quite down by the river, more on the road than by the river. But so my wife and I have been here 3 years and loving the small town Saskatchewan life. Just, you guys know how it is.
Yeah,
is that a wedding picture beside you there? I can't really tell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, she got to throw that out there to make me look good.
Are you wearing a ring on your finger?
Right now, no, I guess I'm not. There is one in the photo, though. Does that count?
Nice.
Yeah, these days, it's a different world in the Zoom world. It's like, legal things can happen and stuff like that. You kind of forget that, it's like the way the world works now. But I'm just hanging out with you guys in sweatpants and hoodie. And
did you hear about that high-profile guy that had his dick out on the Zoom?
Oh man. Yeah. When I logged onto Twitter that day and it was hashtag dick out was trending. So it was like,
Zoom dick or something.
That was this week?
Yeah. There was a dude that was on a Zoom meeting and they took a break or something and he decided that he needed to relax.
And relieve himself.
Yeah. And and
then were you thinking that was me? Because I just started Twitter this week and then you're like, really already?
Man, it took you less than a week.
Couldn't hold it in for a week, eh?
No, but this guy was I don't remember where he worked, but it was from a pretty big company or something, and he's a higher up or whatever.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think he was like the guy running the meeting, I think, if I remember right.
The host of the meeting to boot.
Yeah.
I saw a clip. It was some politician, I don't know where, right? But he's like Italian, maybe. But anyways, a Zoom call, and then all of a sudden he ends up with this girl on his lap, and then he starts sucking on her titties during the Zoom call. Yeah, I'll show you the clip after. But yeah, it was like on a Zoom call news thing, and then they just kind of like block him out after, and he's like playing with some girl's breasts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man. It makes me. I'm 36 now, and when I was 20 years old, there wasn't cameras everywhere. And not like I have this debaucherous past, but I'm glad that I don't have every aspect of my life on film.
Right?
I did some stupid shit when I was a teenager.
Right?
I'm
Yeah.
so glad we didn't have cell phones back then.
Right.
It's it's a different world, man.
Your,
Hard-
your
I'm just-
teen just flashed by for a little
Oh,
bit.
I know, it's scary. Yeah, I kind of want to change topic a little bit. I don't want to get into it too much. Yeah, it's crazy, and like everybody's obsessed and on. Like I said, I just started Twitter this week, and like fuck, I can't put my phone down, man, because I'm still trying to figure it out, and you know, and just that's it. Just try and figure it out, but that takes so much time. Like
You're
I'm
getting
too
old,
old.
that's why.
I'm too old for it.
It's tough to teach an old dog new tricks. I know my brother's like right into TikTok, and like he's got like this huge following, and I'm like, I just can't. I just don't care. Like maybe I'm just getting too old. I don't know.
Don't do TikTok, man.
Yeah.
It's a scary web.
I'm the same way. Like I can't even really get into Instagram. Like
Right.
I have it and I use it mostly for business.
Right.
I have a personal profile, but I'm like, should I take a picture of my kid? No.
Yeah.
How about the cat outside? No. It's snowing? No.
Yeah, my Instagram basically just exists to promote shows and
Well, yeah, for you it makes sense, right? And our business profile is also more around record related things, and we're probably going to take a selfie of this later.
Oh, of course.
It's I don't know, for personal. The I guess that the older I get, the more personal I get.
Oh yeah. All sentimental and shit. Of course.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, it's half my office is just like pictures and whatever stuff to remind me of good times.
Is this the office you recorded your video in?
Parts of it, I think. Yeah. Because you're talking about the fiddle or that didn't want my sweater back video. Yeah,
dude,
we were room and the rumpus room to my right here as well. Yeah,
we were having an argument before you got on here if you actually got the sweater back or not. Like, Rick, we watched the video like 4 times, but you did. I realized you got the sweater back at the start of the song because it was on the bed. And you didn't want it back. But
it's true.
I was gonna tweet you if you were gonna wear the sweater tonight too, but
I don't think it would fit over my belly these days. That one.
Is it a Toronto Blue Jays sweater?
And no, you know what? It's funny. It was such a loose idea. Like that song I wrote in like 20 minutes on a drive, and like there's some songs you work hours on, and you work like I don't know days and with other people, and I just like had this fleeting thought after a different writing session that I'd done with a friend, and just like thought back to this sweater that like last time I went to visit my mom, she still had a bunch of stuff in the closet of my bedroom, and it was one of those things that was still hanging there. It was like, oh God, like why? Just this thing is just like, it's a good thing I'm not holding on to like I'm married and I'm happily married, but if I was still hanging on to the lost love, it'd be like, oh, thanks for the dagger in the heart as soon as I open my childhood bedroom, Mom.
Yeah,
you know how it is.
Yeah, for sure, man.
No,
How so?
I don't hold on to things. So
you don't hold? No, I do.
I know you do.
Janelle, my wife, gives me crap about it all the time. Because
You got a Janelle too? I'm a Janelle. My wife's a Janelle as well.
Yeah? Nice. Yeah, so I feel your pain, brother. Like, I get it, man. Yeah, I can't throw things out. I get too attached to like everything, man. I still have things from like elementary school.
Yep.
Isn't that ridiculous? Like, and I've moved multiple times, and I just carry that shit around with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you walk a fine line between like madness and nostalgia. Like, and I don't think I'm past that madness point, but yeah, I mean, I've got some goofy shit that I've hung on to for years that there's no reason whatsoever. Why do I need like a 3rd place ribbon from elementary school?
I got all the hockey medallions from like novice and
totally. But then you like think about it I don't know. For me, like whenever I throw anything out, it's like my first thought is someday my mom's going to show up and be like, hey, whatever happened to that? Oh, fuck, I threw it in the garbage.
Yeah, that's always the excuse. As soon as I throw it away, I'm going to need it.
Yeah. Or someday I'm going to need to remember that I was 3rd in grade 5 100-meter dash.
Hey, want to listen to our podcast on the go? Why don't you check out the Pamu Slide earbuds? They're wireless. They come with a charging case. You can change the volume with touch controls, pause, play, skip songs. And you can even talk to Siri or your Google Assistant without having to touch the phone. They're more affordable than the big brands and are comfortable to wear for extended periods, and they sound fantastic. Pick up a pair at fmr.fm/PAMU. That's fmr.fm/PAMU.
Want to sell your band's merch, CDs, records, or even digital files on your own website? You can. Check out our partners at Shopify. With over 1 million e-commerce sites on their platform, Shopify is the place to sell your stuff. They have free and premium themes, an app store to expand on your site. They take care of the payments for you, and you can register your domain name all from one dashboard. They have a rockstar support team, and you're supporting a Canadian company. Sign up for a 14-day free trial at fmr.fm/Shopify. That is fmr.fm/Shopify for a free trial. It helps if you move countries, because when I moved to Canada, we came here with four suitcases in a backpack.
Yeah.
So that helps clear out a lot of shit.
Oh, I'm sure. So I was going to ask you. You clearly have. I picked up on an accent. Where are you from originally?
I'm
I'm interviewing you now, in case you didn't know.
What's that?
So I'm interviewing you now, in case.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. I'm from Holland originally. My wife
Cool.
is from Bellevue here, or area, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Met online, and she came to Holland for 6.5 years, and then decided it was like, well,
Wow.
maybe it's time to explore
So
Canada.
how the hell did you end up in Saskatchewan?
Well, she's from here. She went to the U of S.
Oh, okay.
Didn't like any of the classes she picked, so she was chatting online with people, and I was one of them.
And you swooped in there.
I guess.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, it started with hi, and then because of the time difference, it was like 8 hours later. Oh, hi. Oh, she's offline now. Oh.
See, these days you'd be in trouble for that now.
Yeah, why aren't you answering my phone?
8 hours to respond?
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Cancel call. You get canceled before you get an answer.
That's right. And with Tinder, you get a swipe. You don't even get to say anything. Nope.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's another thing I'm thankful that I was hooked up before
Yeah.
that came along.
Right.
And it sounds like a great idea in theory, but I can't imagine it would be.
I don't know. I don't know anyone that came out with an actual relationship from a Tinder date.
I know a few, but then most of them have eventually crashed and burned.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I don't know. Happily married. I think I'm gonna stick it out.
Yeah. I was trying. Yeah.
Can you imagine having to go back into the dating scene? Ugh.
No.
No.
Yeah, I could.
My dad used to always say, he's just like, oh, got married once. Like, I'm not doing it again. Like, I'll date. My stepmom and him lived together for 25, almost 30 years. But she, at different times, we should get married. Nope. Did it once, not doing it again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, come on. You're too old for that shit, man.
Well, I don't know, but sometimes I would think, I don't know. I bet I got to tread lightly because Janelle might be watching. So, oh,
I can stop the recording and then
we can cut that out. Right?
Yeah. If this conversation digresses too much, that's what editing's all about. And then delete the hard drive after, boys. Right after.
Yeah,
Burn
exactly.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
no, and then on that case, then we've got a 5-year-old, but if I ended up it's not going to happen, but if I was single, like in the next couple of years, like I don't want to raise a child by myself.
No.
Right. So then obviously I'm open to that dating and finding
maid.
somebody else. You're what?
Get a maid or a nanny.
Yeah. Pay for it. Is
Huh?
that what they're called now? I thought
Yeah.
that's called something else. But yeah, I wouldn't want to raise my son alone. I wouldn't be able
That adds a totally different dynamic for sure. Yeah.
So I think I would be a little.
I don't. I got 2 dogs, but that's the closest thing I got to children.
Right.
Yeah. I got 2 rugrats.
Any more coming?
No.
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 Yeah, me too.
Well,
I
it
don't-
depends on who you ask, but I say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
peanut
and how about like for you, Chris? Like, do you want children, or are you gonna have kids, you think, in the future?
Yeah,
Or-
I would imagine, that's still, I always say, let the universe decide what's going to end up happening. My wife's had a few different health battles that she's gone through the last couple of years here that's kind of put a bit of a delay on that. But things are starting to trend in the right direction. So who knows? My mother was bugging me about it earlier this week. So
Oh,
I'm
they
sure,
do that.
of
still
course.
getting encouraged to practice anyway. So that's important.
Practice makes
Good.
perfect.
Yeah.
Nice. Right on, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
old enough that mom can encourage you to have sex now.
Yeah.
Did you? I heard also that you used to be a teacher or something. Somebody told me that, and I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't do any research really, man. So
No, it's all good. I didn't likewise.
I'm Mark. Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask. I'm like, I know your names, but I don't know which one's which.
That's why you should have read the document. It actually says in there that
Which one's which?
Yeah.
See, I told you I scanned, but didn't look for details.
Good.
I'm true to my word here.
It's all good, man. But
Yeah.
yeah. So where were you teaching, and like what grades and stuff?
So I started out. I was one of those guys that went straight from high school straight to university, and started teaching right away. I was 22 years old and was teaching grade 12 in Fillmore, Saskatchewan. So I taught full time for like 5 years, and it was around that time I'd put out my first album, and I had a few opportunities to do some tours and stuff like that at the time. And teaching is it's a great job, and you get great holidays. You get summer and you get Christmas and stuff like that. But if you're wanting to do a tour in October, it's just not it's not an option. So after turning down a few opportunities that I really didn't want to turn down, I thought, this is the time to give it a shot. If I'm ever going to give it a shot, and took a leave of absence for a year, which turned into resigning. And that was 9.5 years ago now. So had it not been for the pandemic, I'd still be going strong and everything else. But I've been fortunate, actually. I've been back in the classroom this fall. Took in a contract just to teach until Christmas. So thankful that I have a degree that I was able to go back and find some work for while things are slow in the music industry.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how do the kids, like, walking into that class, do they know who you are?
Some
Like,
do.
obviously they do, but I mean, like, do they know you from before, or do they just know you as like, oh my God, he's a country singer?
Some do. It's funny because kids are kids, right? They have no filter either. So like you walk in and like one kid's like, oh my God, it's Chris Henderson. And the next kid's like, who the fuck's that? Like, I don't care. I hate country music and whatever. So you get such a wide variety of like some kids that look at you like, you sing country, you're a loser. To the next person, like thinks like, wow, oh my God, you're on Spotify, you're on YouTube. Like, so I always get I never tell the kids, but at some point, and it's funny because like, especially this time of year, I wear like, I've got leather jackets, and like, if it's like fall season, I'll wear that. And like right now I have a beard, but I always have a soul patch. And like, it's funny how there's little things that kids will pick up and they're like, wait, you look like a musician. Like, why? I just give off this like degenerate like vibe, or what? Like, what is it? But it might be just something as simple as a soul patch, or like whatever, my leather jacket, or the jeans I'm wearing that day. They're like, you look like a musician. I'm like, oh well, I am. And then I'm like, wait a second, I thought, whatever. And so yeah, it's funny because you do get a variety of anywhere from don't give a crap who you are to think you're cool.
Yeah, think you're the superstar. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about parents?
There's usually more parents that know who I am. Like, and it's funny because now I'm getting to the age where like I was playing nightclubs in Regina, in the mid 2000s. So we're going back almost 15 years ago when I started playing. So like some of those women got pregnant at the bar the night I was playing, and their kid is now in my grade 9 classroom, right? Like,
Yes.
so, like, I've actually like had a few kids been like, oh my God, my mom has a huge crush on you, or like, and that's when I start feeling old, where it's like, oh my God, there's a 15-year-old whose mom thinks I'm hot, but and who is the same age as me. Like, whatever, it was fine if it was the cougar that thought I was cute when I was 20, but like now it's like, oh, my mom thinks you're hot. Oh, who's your mom? It's so and so. I'm like, oh crap, she's younger than me. Like, oh man.
Right. And I wonder, like, what's your wife think about? I bet your wife is just like Not too pleased with those parents, right?
You know, it's funny, and if you talk to at least most of my musician friends, that like most wives are kind of like jealous or like kind of on top of that in the first year or two of the relationship. And then after a while, it's just like, if a woman makes eyes at me, she's like, all she looks is like, should see him at home in his sweatpants and he doesn't pick up after him. Like it goes from like jealousy to like, oh, whatever. He's too lazy. He's not going to chase you. So we're at that point where she trusts me and she knows I'm too lazy to.
Oh, that's perfect.
And
She's
she
a
wouldn't
keeper.
be.
And I'm also very happy. So she knows that, that we're all good.
Right on. Shout out to Janelle. Nice.
Times two. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, so Prince Albert tomorrow night.
Mm.
What time does the show start? Well, I guess so. This is going to go up Monday.
Cool.
So how was it?
So how was the show?
Yeah, and you know what? It's a weird thing playing shows in a pandemic. I mean, it was fantastic. I loved being in a beautiful room like the Rawlinson Center. It's great to return to a place like that, to share a stage with people like Jack Semple and Scott Patrick and Heidi Monroe. But it's a different experience, man. Just you recognize one of those names there?
I do, yeah. Heidi was one of my substitute teachers growing up.
Yeah. Oh, no way! I didn't know she was a teacher.
Yeah, and she used to sing with my mom. Or
wow.
My mom used to sing back in the day growing up, and mom was like big with the Country North show in Prince Albert back in the day and stuff. Noreen Guedette. I don't know if you've ever heard that name. Probably not.
That name sounds vaguely familiar, actually.
Yeah, maybe. Like, mom has a couple albums out there, but she has since passed. She's not with us anymore. But
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's all. It's life, man. But yeah. So was pretty big in the country. So if I'm being honest, when I was listening to your music today, it threw me back to like high school days and stuff and Country North show. And I was just like, oh, you're remembering all that stuff. I almost tweeted you to find out if you ever played the Country North show, because I've actually got 3 years of it on DVD. And I was like scan through it to see if you were in there or not.
I want to say that I have. Like, I know I've been there. After a while, some of these memories, I think I have, but it would have been like 10 years ago. I'd have to go back and look at my books, but I've definitely been there. Sometimes I like, and sometimes I backed up. I've played for other artists, or I've like been at venues I've sat on board of directors and stuff. So sometimes I get confused on what I've done and what I haven't done, but
well, that makes
sense. It's a great event anyway.
Yeah. Is there, what's protocol for Saturday night too at PA? Like, how is that going to be structured?
Yeah, it's great. EA Rawlinson Center's done an excellent job. Mayfair United Church, they're doing an excellent job, and so I would encourage anyone who wants to go for shows there in the future. I mean, they're taking things really seriously. They've got names, like a sign-up sheet kind of at the door where they're taking down names in case something ever happens. They'll be able to contact you, let you know that there was things going on. But I mean, working as a school teacher, I was talking to my in-laws earlier today. And they said, was it scary to be doing shows? And I said, no, it's safer than being in a school right now. I mean, we got a venue that can hold, 400 or 500 people in Saskatoon that's got, limited to less than 100 people. And they're all spaced out, and you've got ushers that are bringing you in and out. You're limited to sitting with people that are inside your bubble. So, I mean, as far as like a safe way to bring back live music, I can't imagine a safer way to do it. Right. And if we're going to allow schools to be open and have flights that are packed and stuff like that, that was kind of the whole notion. The artists that are on this bill, we kind of had lobbied the government earlier this year and said, look, we're not trying to be reckless here, but just like give us some guidelines so that we can work and that we can bring the arts back to people. And because, this is what we do. Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing it, man. Like, I don't know of many shows going on right now. It's been a lot of stuff online, which I was at the start of the pandemic, right back in March. I was like, oh, why would they do that? It didn't make sense to me. And then it got to a point where I was like wanting it to happen. Like, why aren't these guys playing shows online? Like, I need to see them play. You know what I mean? And then it's just getting to like people like you going out tomorrow night and actually doing a show. So it's like, thank you for that. And like pioneering it, because without you guys pushing to do it as much as you guys are, it's just like, and it's going to get on the back burner.
And in a responsible way too, like not, okay, we're throwing on a show, everybody come on out. And
right.
back to
And
all.
like, that's always been my fear through this whole pandemic. I mean, I've had people that have tried to hire me, and let's face it, I mean, we have some varying opinions on this coronavirus thing in Saskatchewan. So I've had people that have been like, "Oh, look, we're having a secret party at the ranch, and we're gonna have 500 people, and come out." And it's like, "Well, no, I'm not going to do that, because the last thing I want is, Chris Henderson's show is the super spreader event in
Yeah.
Saskatchewan. Like, I just don't want that. And if something like, I want to keep people safe, I want to keep my reputation and my professional, rep, whatever. If I have a professional reputation, I'd like to safeguard whatever's left of it or whatever, right? Um, and just being responsible in general. I've lost family this year. My father passed away in May. I had a great uncle who passed away from COVID earlier, or last week, down in Wisconsin. So, I mean, I'm of the mind that at the very least, I want to just do what I can to keep people safe and not be a cause for any problem anyway, right?
Yeah,
for
But
sure.
in the same
Plus-
breath, still fight to I think we can do music in a safe way. If we have
Yeah.
a 900 seat venue that's got 150 people in it, surely we can keep people safe.
And not to mention, like, you're going back to the classroom too, so you don't want to spread it at school.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and that's a real thing, right? Like, and I have to give a quick shout out to the teachers and all the staff, the custodial staff, everybody that works in the school system, but also the kids too. I mean, they've been 99% of them have been amazing about it and following protocols and stuff, and so that's all a consideration that I've taken into account is, I want to keep the kids safe. I want them to keep me safe, and I want to keep my fans or patrons of the shows safe. Like, again, the last thing, it would be a nightmare if all of a sudden I'm the guy that throws a reckless show that kills a bunch of people. I couldn't live with myself if that was the
Don't put
case.
that on your conscience for sure.
No.
Yeah, bad publicity is also publicity. No, I'm just kidding.
There's no such thing as bad. Yeah, we're going on the Kill Your Grandma tour, Chris Henderson in 2020 here.
It all starts right here on
Hey,
the Sit Down podcast.
Didn't you say you write a song? Well, there you go.
Yeah, kill your grandma. Grandma got killed by the COVID.
There you go. I like it.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought my joke was pretty funny there too.
Which one?
So I was like on trying to figure out Twitter last night. So I thought I was being pretty wise there, where I was like, "Fiddle me this."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just
I thought it was a autocorrect or something.
no, I was being.
That's pretty good. I mean, if you're day one, you're already cracking jokes on Twitter, then you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I'm definitely an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, I can attest to that. So I looked in your bio a little bit, and you have some. It's quite the timeline.
Yeah.
And,
You know what? And is this off the website? Because I definitely needs to get updated too.
It is the last thing. No, actually, 2020 named Male
Okay.
Artist of the Year for a third consecutive time at the
Yeah.
Saskatchewan Country Music Awards.
Fooled him again.
Yeah. Yeah. So 3 times in a row, or did I say consecutive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 times.
All right.
Yeah, all the good ones retired, so it's just my turn. No, there's lots of great artists in Saskatchewan.
And I saw you played Craven.
Mm-hmm.
What year did you play Craven? Can you tell us a little about that?
Oh, I think I was out there. I think I did 3 years. There was 1 year I was there. I did a main stage show there the 1 year. And then there was 2 other years I did shows on the Beer Garden stage as well. There was 1 year I was working with Chevy on Main Street. We were doing like these they hired us to play songs that were that had mentioned Chevy and paid us a lot of money to be there. So my band and I just like hung out for the weekend, like doing these half-hour spots 3 times a day, and come out and sing songs that mention Chevy. And so then we ended up doing a couple of Beer Garden shows there too. But Craven's there's a lot of things I could say about Craven.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
bet.
yeah, well, I mean, there's good and bad about that place for sure. But I mean, the cool thing is just celebrating Saskatchewan summer with Saskatchewan people, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, the year that I got to do main stage was probably my favorite, although we were coming off a stretch of doing 10 shows and 10 days in Calgary during Stampede. So I remember like falling out of the vehicle and when we got to Regina to do that show, but it's just a lot of fun.
Nice.
So obviously Craven has quite a few big country names.
Yeah.
How does that go backstage? Because I know at some of these festivals, it's like the big names have their own little tent, and
Right.
if you're not one of the big names, you're not allowed in that tent.
Right.
Is that how that was at Craven?
Yeah, well, and it all depends on the artist, man. I mean, I'll throw some guys under the bus. I don't care. I mean, I've been back there a few times, and like one guy that was kind of a jerk about it was Luke Bryan. He had the whole backstage area cleared out. Even the Craven security people weren't allowed back there. It was just his security folks, and they made him a Saskatchewan Roughriders jersey that he left in the dressing room, and
no.
Yeah, right. So I mean, there's guys like that behave like
do that in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, you can't do that in Saskatchewan. See, even the guy from Holland knows that. He's only how long you been here? You know better.
Oh, yeah. I'm from Saskatchewan now.
Yeah, now you're one of us. One of us.
Yeah, he learned.
But on the flip side, then there's other people like Keith Urban. The year that I played there, he was headlining, and we were hanging out kind of in the VIP tent that was just outside of the backstage area. And his people came in and invited us into the area, invited us side stage to watch the show. And, he was like 2 feet away from my wife and smiled at her. And Tim McGraw's been back there throwing football with security guys and stuff. So it all depends on the people, right?
That's the way to do it, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Like spread the love. Everybody's there for a good time, the same reason. Like, don't be cocky about it. And
and at the end of the day, like we all put our pants on one leg at a time and take a shit every day. So like, who do you think you are? And having said that, I do understand in certain cases. Like I remember way back in my first time playing Craven, like when I was first starting out in country music in like mid 2000s, Alan Jackson was one guy that headlined one night. And I remember his bus pulled up right up to the stage. He walked on, played his show, and left right after. And I kind of thought, like, what a dank. Like, he didn't even shake hands with the VIP or whatever. But then it turned out that like his wife had multiple death threats, and he'd had multiple death threats, and so they're like of like crazy fans that were in love with him, and whatever. So he'd like their company just changed the policy for a few years where we're just gonna roll in, play the show, roll out, and keep everybody safe. So once in a while there might be a valid reason for it. So as much as I'm ripping on Luke Bryan, maybe there was some crazy gal from Craven that said they were going to cut off his toe
or something. Yeah.
You never know. I mean, that stuff does happen.
I don't know. Luke Bryan, his bromance with Blake Shelton, I think it's a little over the top, and I'm like, I don't believe him.
See, my thing with him, like I'm not shy, but I don't love his music, but I think my thing with him that bugged me like 5 years ago was he debuted an album on Tinder, and what ended up happening was it caused like a bunch of 14-year-olds to sign up for Tinder. And so I just remember, like, because it was like that was the only place it was available on day one. So that was always the thing that like stuck in my craw about it. Was I was like substitute teaching that day, and I'm like watching all these grade 9 girls downloading Tinder and just thinking, oh, this is a sexual assault waiting to happen. This is great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's definitely that's weird.
It is. Why would you
whatever
put it on Tinder? What? Like,
well, because
he probably got money for it.
He's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it would have been a partnership and whatever, right? But you got to remember who your audience is, and for a guy like that, there's a bunch of teenage girls that, that are huge fans, and fair enough. But I do, having said that, we'll turn this into the rip on Luke Bryan hour here. But I love now because I think he's like 42 or something like that. Like he's in his early to mid 40s, and so I love when if I am substitute teaching and kids will ask me like, "Oh, who have you met and who whatever," right? And they'll say, "Oh, Luke Bryan, he's so hot," and be like, "How old's your dad?" 39. Luke Bryan's older than your dad. Oh, and you just ruin it for him. So like that's awesome. I like doing that.
Love it.
Yeah, that's funny. I like it.
Yeah.
And then you can also fill in like, I met Luke Bryan. He's kind of a douche.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, I'll be like, how much cooler Tim McGraw is. Or,
he's also way older.
Yeah. Yeah. But Keith Urban, I mean, he melted my wife. Like I said, his people came up and invited us to watch the show side stage, and he was playing a solo and was 2 feet away from us, and you know, leaned over and gave her that smile. And well, let's just
He,
say I knew
he
it was in the bag that night anyway. But
Yeah, no doubt.
he seems like a cool dude though. Like to
I mean, my limited experience with him, and people that I know that have worked with him in his camp have just said nothing but great things. Like he's just a sweetheart and salt of the earth. And I mean, that, like we said, that's the way people should be, right?
yeah, that's
I
right.
think so. I definitely think so. I get it where, like, if you're playing for, I don't know, 5,000 people, even 1,000 people, like that can get, I could see, what am I trying to say? Like if I'm putting myself in your shoes and I'm playing for 1,000 people, I can see myself getting some anxiety after the show. I'm sure
Sure.
on stage I'd be all right. I know my set. I can do what I need to do my job, right? And then after, like if there's crazy fans, like I would probably get scared. You know what I can see that happening. So I understand why I would want to get the F out of there as quick as possible.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, yeah. And it's funny, like, you know, like I don't have any illusions about how good looking I am or what a sex symbol I might be, but it doesn't matter. It can be like somebody who maybe even has mental illness issues, and they've just like, you know, and they might be in their 60s. But like I had a woman I had to call and try and get a restraining order on in a few years back, and she was in her late 50s. But I don't know if it was, you know, bless her heart, she never like threatened me or anything, but she just crossed a lot of lines. And
Yeah.
so you just never know what people are dealing with, and how much your music has impacted them. You know, like I've had people that have come up, like I remember being in Saskatoon like 5 or 6 years ago, and this girl coming up and like throwing her arms around me and crying and be like, your song saved my life. And I'm like, what? But
Yeah.
you know, you just never know how your music might connect with, even if it's one person, man. I mean, I'm not a massive star by any means, but you know, you do connect with people, and it's cool, but it can also be dangerous.
She probably gave their sweater back in that relief.
Yeah.
No, but I can see how like music, like that's just the thing. Like Mark's always bugging me. I'm stuck in the 90s, right? With like, I like rock and roll, heavy metal, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Metallica, Godsmack. That's my genre, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not really listening to new stuff like that. I'm stuck in the same shit I was listening to in grades 9, 10, and 11, 12, you know? And I mean, every time I hear those songs, it brings me back. That's all. I love it's
music. Like a huge element of music is nostalgia, and that's, you know, so many people talk about you reach a certain age where you quit listening to new music, and part of it's that music changes and it doesn't fit our tastes and stuff as we get older. And you know, like I don't love listening to pop music today, but I can appreciate that you know, the stuff that I liked when I was 15 was crap now, you know, in hindsight. In hindsight too. But you know, I think part of it with the rock world too is the rock world's really struggled. I mean, I was in a rock band in high school and kind of in a pseudo metal band in university. I wasn't good, let's put it that way. But it's funny how you know, a lot of rock people are still listening to the same bands they were in the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, for sure.
But so lots of country people are too. You know, there's tons of people that still throw on the Garth Brooks, the albums, and the George Strait records and whatever, right?
My wife, she listens to other stuff, but it's because I'm playing it. But
right.
If she has a choice, it's country.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably I tweeted you saying that. Which song was it?
Kissing Sadie, I think it was.
Yeah. So I was kind of looking up his music, and I was playing Kissing Sadie on my phone because that was the most played song on Spotify. So it showed up first. Right. So I hit play, and Jennifer started singing along with it, and I was like, you know this song?
So he's gonna be your brownie points for tonight after the show, then.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's actually.
Thanks, Jennifer. You made my week. That you knew the tune.
She's actually asking if you can sign a CD and send it this way.
Of course, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Cool.
Very cool.
But yeah, so I mean, it and to me, like because I'm in the music business, like I'm selling records, and there's new music coming out for me, I don't want to listen to every new song because that'll eat my soul, but I do want to discover the new stuff. Like Billie Eilish, I love Billie Eilish. Post Malone, I don't love him, but I think he's great.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, there's stuff that he does where I'm like, this guy's uber talented, and like I know I'll really dig something he does. But and same with Billie Eilish. I mean, that little girl's a freak. She's super talented. She produced a lot of that music at home by herself and with her brother, I think, right? Did some work with her or something. But I mean, even if you don't like it, if it's not your cup of tea, that doesn't mean you can't appreciate it too, right? Which
exactly. Yeah. Have the respect for it and for sure.
Like I always say that I'm a kind of a Canadian like disaster because I don't really like Rush. And I don't really like, what was the other one?
Tragically Hip.
Yeah, Tragically Hip. I've never been a big fan of either of those bands, and it's because I don't really care for Gord Downey's voice. I love him. I think I'm a huge fan of his writing and who he is as a person, but I just don't really care for his voice. And I feel the same way about Geddy Lee and Rush. And but that doesn't mean that I don't have like the highest amount of respect for both groups. It's just I'm not going to be the guy that plays the records all the time.
Yeah, you're not standing in line when the new album's coming out, right?
Right, right. I'll probably still buy it because I'm just a nerd that way, but I won't be the guy that's there on day one, no.
I see you got a record there behind your head too. What's that on the wall? Is that what that is?
You know what that is? That's an award. There was one year that they had like when they tore the envelope, it was this record on the wall. And so it just says my name and songwriter of the year or something, I think, on it.
Awesome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Got to throw all the vanity pieces up in the office. Just come down here and just let my head fill up with whatever. I'd flip the computer around, but it's attached to a bunch of cables and shit and would just break stuff. So
that's all good.
Do that. What else do you have in the background there?
Oh, what have we got here? I've done some work with Telemiracle. Last few years. I've been hosting or helping host that show for the last 5 years now. So there's a couple of thank you gifts from them, and I also have done some hosting with the Humane Society in Regina as well, helping raise some money for the cats and kittens and that kind of thing. Then that cowboy hat.
Get it? Cats and kittens.
Cats and kittens.
Yeah.
I didn't get it till you said that. But.
Yeah.
Sorry. Continue.
Oh no, all good. And then that white cowboy hat. Actually, that one's kind of neat. Calgary has a tradition where they white hat people, and it's like for outsiders that don't live there that like have made a contribution to the city in some way, and it's like kind of a big thing where there's like a club where these people are in and they decide who's worthy, and somebody has to present a case that you're worthy of a white hat. And so I ended up playing a show in Calgary last year during the Canadian Country Music Awards, and a guy that I know, a friend of mine, is part of that group and had taken his case about me and a couple others to the board, and they approved it. So I'm a white hat guy for Calgary.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. That's an honor, I guess.
Yeah. It's kind of a cowboy honor anyway. I'm just gonna shut down my messages here for some reason. That was really loud in my ears.
It sounded like it was in the background for us. So
right in my right here.
Oh yeah,
I got it.
I want to ask you about teaching again. I want to bring it back a little bit. Are you finding it hard with is there anything different with the pandemic going on? Like,
it's super different. I mean,
friends that are teachers and they're just like at wit's end right now.
I think it depends a lot on where you are and like what division you work for, as far as like different protocols. But in Regina, I mean, the kids and staff are wearing masks all the time. Anytime you kind of go in and out of rooms, you're using hand sanitizer. They've converted, instead of having 5 classes a day, it's 2 a day now. So there's 1 2.5 hour class in the morning, one in the afternoon, and just trying to limit the amount of kids that, interact with each other. So it's definitely a weird reality. It's not something that, that we're used to or that you could ever predict having coming down the pipe. But these kids have been amazing. I really have to give them credit. I was, went back this fall thinking this is going to be a shit show. Like there's no way these kids are going to wear these things. They're not going to follow the rules. But it is getting, I think everyone's kind of reaching a point where they're starting to get a little bit tired of it, and the weather changing isn't going to help. But I have to give kids all the credit in the world. They've been really good about it.
Yeah, my daughter too. Like she's been home since March,
Right.
and she was excited to go back
Yeah.
to school. And then it was like, hey, but there are a bunch of rules now. It's not like last year. And she was like, I don't care. I just want to see my friends.
Yes.
So she's wearing her mask and she's, washing her hands and, following all the rules and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. It's just a mindset, I guess.
Well, and that's just it. And like in Regina, the options for the kids were like, you can come back to school and here's the rules you got to follow. You got to wear a mask. You got to do this, and this, or you can stay home and you can do online school. And so like the conversations I had in the first week or two with kids are like, screw this mask. I don't want to wear it. And it's like, well, then don't, but you just have to go home and take online school. Like, I don't care. Like, if you don't want to wear it, I get it. It sucks. It's annoying. All the power all the respect to the medical professionals that do it all the time and have for decades and whatever. Right. But that's been an option that was given to kids, but I find that most of them that are there are have the mindset like your daughter there, that they're just thankful to get to hang out with their friends. And, I think this pandemic, if nothing else, has taught us that there's like, there's very few things that are immune from, there's not very few things that are 100% secure. Yeah. Like who would have ever thought that this would ever come? Like myself personally, I have 4 revenue streams that I've worked on in the last decade since I resigned from teaching. I'll substitute teach. I, do my music stuff, performing and songwriting and everything else. I write and edit for a Toronto Blue Jays website, believe it or not. And then I also represent some independent artists at country radio as well, doing some promotional work. And back in March, within 48 hours, all of my work just gone. Yeah. And it was just like, what the hell? I just had 40 shows canceled, school closed, baseball got shut down. Like, what?
What are you going to do now?
Yeah. So I think the kids kind of saw that too, where it was like, holy shit, like everything that I love is done right now. And kids aren't stupid. They, they know what matters to them. And if the threat of not getting to see your friends again is real to them, then they'll behave.
Yeah. Okay, so to ask about the same question, give or take, how is teaching now, or how are the kids different? Well, I guess it's different altogether, but how is school different now from the first time you were teaching?
Just, I mean,
I guess
from before the 9-year hiatus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. How much has stuff changed from 10 years ago?
Yeah.
We're more of a PC culture than we were a decade ago. Like I started teaching in 2006 and was in a small town, and I was thinking about, we were talking to some colleagues this week about stupid things we did early in our career, and I was like, I shouldn't admit this publicly, but I will. But in my first year teaching, we had like an initiation thing where the grade 12s initiated the grade 9s. It was a small town school, and I was a first year teacher, so the grade 12s got to initiate me too. And so we all dressed up in costumes, and which the grade 12s got to pick for us. And so they made me Rick Ross. So of course they gave me blackface. And, and I like, this hadn't dawned on me until this week. And I was like, oh my God, there are blackface photos of me out there. Yeah. But, like we went up and down and visited businesses in school, and, the kids got harassed, and like, it was like all in good fun and safe and whatever. I was there supervising it and stuff. But a lot of things that, that would have happened 15 years ago in school. Most of them are good that they're gone. I wouldn't advocate for blackface being a good thing, as an example, but it's changed a lot. I mean, there's a lot more supports for kids. There's a lot more. It's changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially now with the pandemic, I guess it's hard to compare either way.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, it's I mean, it's a night and day difference. I mean, we only have 2 classes a day. The kids are told to leave at lunch hour, and if they have nowhere to go, they can stay. But it's a weird time to
I I heard from someone in PA that one of the high schools there has a schedule where you either have the classes in the morning or in the afternoon.
Yep.
But the bus schedules were not changed. So the kids go to school from whatever 8:30 or whatever it is till noon, and then they have to wait for the bus to show up at 3:30.
Oh,
but they
boy.
can't stay at school. It's like, so where do you expect the kids to go?
Somebody dropped the ball on that piece of planning.
Yeah, that sounds different.
So I'm sure they worked it out by now, but the first time I heard that, I was like, that does not make sense at
You're
all.
probably right. The first week there was probably like, oh, so
yeah,
what do we do now?
Yeah.
How do we fix it?
And there was a lot of kinks that had to get worked out in that first little while too. Like I got hired to be a full-time substitute teacher, and which is a weird role. But they put
I was gonna ask, what's a full-time substitute teacher?
It's a unprecedented role with my school division. And no, it really is. I mean, typically they don't do that, but what they've done is guaranteed me full-time work, just to like basically secure that I'll be available all the time, I think, as much as anything. But what that means is I get paid better because I'm on a contract and lots of different things. But in theory, the plan in Regina, for example, is they hired like 25 different teachers to have one substitute teacher assigned to each school. And so the idea was that, I would be at school A, as the first guy that would go in for anyone who was sick. But then ideally that would keep me from going from school A on Monday, school B on Tuesday, school C on Wednesday. And say I got sick on Monday, well, then suddenly I visited 4 other schools and infected hundreds of other kids. And I mean, probably not hundreds of other kids, but the last thing they wanted was to see me in one school on Monday and then spread the virus around all week until.
Yeah. And then have again, Chris Henderson.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He picked it up at school, got hundreds of kids sick, and then threw a concert and got all them sick too.
Let's get back to music here. So you were saying you were playing in other, or what?
You saying that, Joe from Limbo Podcast.
Yeah.
He was wondering, did you play a drive-in show not that long ago in Regina?
No, I didn't. There's been a handful of others that have around Regina, but I haven't done any drive-in shows this year.
Okay, because he texted me like, why does that name sound familiar? I'm like, I don't know. He's from Regina area. Oh, maybe he played a drive-in. And so I had to ask, but
no.
Sorry, Joe. He's not the guy.
Yeah,
I'm not the guy.
Joe wanted me to ask you too if you ever got an Estevan handshake.
What's that, to get stabbed in the stomach or something? Is that
It's like, sledgehammer in the head or some shit.
That's what I always bug my friends from Winnipeg, that I get a Winnipeg handshake and get stabbed. But
It's
that's
funny
why Estevan's no better than Winnipeg. I mean, I love my hometown, but there was, back when the oil patch was busy, there was a good chance there was going to be fights at the bar at Friday night. Yeah,
it's funny that when you told me about the Estevan handshake, it was not a good thing, and he doesn't really know what it is, but he also doesn't think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is an actual thing? There's
apparently.
I don't know. We'll have to reach out to Joe here and ask him.
Yeah.
It probably is.
But yeah, so you were mentioning that you were in like other bands when you were growing up, right? Like in high school and college and stuff. So I'm curious on how the transition from like rock to country, like, did that go smoothly? Like, was that a conscious decision, or did it just kind of gradually,
these metal
because
punks
it's
are
music,
assholes,
you were
I want to be a
singing,
country artist.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? It was funny how it happened for me, because I mean, I grew up, my parents divorced when I was like 6 years old. And my dad was a rock and roll singer. He was a touring musician in the 60s and 70s and played 60s rock. And then my stepdad came along and he was a cowboy. and is a cowboy. It's still him and my mom are still together. And so as kids, like, I didn't like my stepdad. I loved my dad and was like, screw country music. You know, my dad's a rocker and I'm a rocker and whatever. That was just kind of the mentality I had when I was a kid. But then my dad kept bugging me when I was in university, like, and people always told me I had a bit of a country voice, but I'd be like, "No, screw that, like, whatever." Um, but then my dad kept bugging me to join this contest that was going on in Regina in at that time, and the first prize was to record a song. And I'm making a long story short, even though if it's not that short. But first prize was record a song in studio, professional recording, and they'd release it and promote it for you and all that kind of stuff. And so I ended up winning the song, or winning this contest, and found this song, which is a whole other long story I won't bother with right now. But the song that I ended up recording was co-written by the lead singer of Lone Star. If you ever heard of the band Lone Star. And so then when I ended up recording the song, it got sent out to radio. Radio started playing it. These guys invited me to Nashville because they liked the recording. And suddenly I was getting people calling me and saying, we'd like to book you to play this country concert. And we'd like you to come to Nashville and record a country album. And I was like, okay, sure. You know? And that first like year or two, it was like discovering country music and realizing, oh, I don't hate this at all. It was just like a mentality I had from being a kid. And growing up in Estevan, I mean, I had the AM radio on all the time, so I knew tons of songs. I mean, I grew up with Garth Brooks and George Strait and Sammy Kershaw and all these guys, right? So it's partially ingrained in you, just being a Saskatchewan resident. So in my early 20s, it was like, oh, turns out I don't hate this stuff at all. And it's funny when people start calling you and saying, we want to book you for a show, Mr. Country Singer. Yeah, I'm a country singer. You know, 15 years later, yeah, I definitely feel like it's where I belong. But it was a weird thing to go from, like, the last band I was in before I started playing country was like sort of a metal band. And we didn't do anything, like, we just jammed in the basement, but doing Metallica covers and stuff like that. So to go from playing drums and covering Metallica to playing country music with a cowboy hat on and an acoustic guitar, was
So you were in the metal band, you were the drummer?
Yeah, we were really bad. Yeah.
We were actually discussing that, because that video that you made in that room and
yeah.
Are you playing all the instruments, or are you just holding them for show?
Everything but the fiddle I'm playing for real.
Okay.
But yeah, it's funny because I did an interview with a radio fella. I won't name him, embarrass him in case he happens to come across this, but he was like, man, I had no idea you could play fiddle. And it's like, man, take a closer look. Like, if you review it, I'm not playing the fiddle. But the rest of the instruments, I can fake my way through a few songs on drums and bass and whatever too.
Nice. Right on.
Yeah.
So, okay. Then when you're playing country music, you get called to go to Nashville and play a set. Are you just doing covers of other country music songs? Like, cause you've got the one song.
Right.
And then they want you to play 20, 30 minutes maybe?
Right. Yeah. When I first started out, you're right, I only had like that song, and then I quickly kind of wrote a few tunes. The first country music show I did, we had to play like 7 songs, and I had that one song, and then I wrote 2, and then we did 4 covers. And but then after that, I mean, we did a cabaret in small town, like in like Cardiff, I think it was, and we had to play like 3 full hour sets, and so you're playing like 50 songs in a night. So I remember the first like probably dozen shows I did with the band, then I had like a music stand with lyrics and stuff on, because it was like, I can't learn 50 songs in 2 weeks. I'm just can't do it.
Wow. That's a big transition. Like quick. Big and quick.
It was weird. I mean, I lucked out in a lot of ways, because I kind of started up this country band with some friends, and they were experienced musicians that had, worked on the road and kind of taught me the ropes quickly, and covered for whatever I didn't know about in the early days.
I quickly had to look up Lone Star because I know the name and I knew at least one of their songs.
Baby, I'm amazed by you.
Amazed. That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Probably had it at your wedding dance.
no, actually we okay, sappy story. Jennifer make these love song CDs.
Yeah.
And it was on
A
there.
mixtape. She used to make you a mixtape.
A mixtape, but on a CD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maze was on there, so that's how I recognize the song.
Huh?
So
Well,
how
I'm sure I had a mixtape or a mix CD with Mazed on there somewhere at some point in my life too.
So
that's the song that okay, like small town Saskatchewan, like stag and stagette dances.
Oh
right?
yeah.
That's the slow song that everybody okay.
Absolutely.
I know that song.
Yeah, if you you take your shot at like 1:30 a.m. and it either goes well or you get smacked. And, well,
Yeah.
all right.
then you go home. Yeah. So how did Lone Star get involved? Were they involved in that competition, or did they happen to hear it? And
This is the kind of the early day, like not the early days of the internet, because it was long after that. But I mean, this was kind of before people were as internet savvy as they are these days. There was a website called NashvilleSongwriter.com. I don't know if it still exists or not, but I literally put an ad on this website back then, and it was like, I'm looking for songs that are country songs because I'm more of a rock guy. I don't know how to write a country song, and I had people from all over the world sending me music. And I, sifted through all these demos and stuff that all these professional writers had sent, and just really dug this song. And the vocalist sounded really familiar, but the guy from Lone Star had co-written it with a Canadian guy by the name of Cyril Rawson, and Cyril was the one that had sent me the song. So I just remember emailing him back and saying, I really like this song, but it sounds like Lone Star. Like, I just want to make sure I'm not like getting tricked here, what's going on? And he's like, oh yeah, no, I wrote it with the guy from Lone Star. That's him singing the demo. I'm like, oh well, okay, that fucking makes sense then.
Yeah.
Right on.
So that's Richie McDonald then?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I have Wikipedia here. Not that I know the guy.
No.
I thought you were checking to see if that website was still up.
It is actually. It's the Nashville Songwriters Association now.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, back then you could just put an ad up and said, who you are and what you're doing and what you're looking for, and people would just send you music.
That's cool.
Sweet. I was about to say kind of like Tinder, but without the music.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Swipe.
So hey, okay. So now you've got this song. You've played on stage and stuff, right? I'm still thinking back early days.
Sure.
And now, or I guess you've written a couple of your own songs. What did you need to learn? Like, how was it writing that first song of your own? You know what I mean? Like, how's that process?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you kind of just have to dig into the genre. Like I had played in so many different bands, like so many different musical backgrounds. Like I grew up playing trumpet in a jazz band in school, and like Estevan had a real jazz program where we won nationals like 17 years in a row. So it wasn't like, I played jazz band in school. It was like, no, I played fucking jazz band in school.
Yeah.
And we were legit. And grew up on 60s music, played in rock bands, played in a punk band in high school. And so for me, I always loved all kinds of music. So it was kind of just digging into the genre and realizing what is country music and what, is there a reason that I have hated it all these years? No, it was because I had this stupid hang up about my stepdad as a kid. And what I really loved and connected with country music was that it's really about the lyric and the melody. I was an English teacher, so I love writing, and lyrics are a thing that I can be nerd out on. And so country music was an easy transition for me because it was almost like a twangier 60s rock that I grew up on with my dad, like listening to the Elvis Presleys and the Dions and that kind of stuff. It was really strong melody stuff. And I find that country music has been centered around that for a long time, or at least when I kind of broke into it, it was very much like that. And it also helped, as I say that, it also helped that, when I was breaking into or kind of transitioning to country music in the early to mid 2000s, that was when guys like Keith Urban were hot and on the rise for the first time. And his music in those days was just kind of a poppier rock. So it was really easy for me to go, well, this sounds all that much different from the default cover I was doing in my last band, you know.
That's
So
cool.
what do you think of the new hip hop kind of genre?
It's not my thing.
It's like the new country artists that are. It's more like with hip hop beats and
Like who?
fuck, I don't know.
Never heard it.
No?
There's a bunch. I mean, like,
I guess Luke Bryan's new stuff is kind of like that too.
yeah, you know, like there's really been a big pop infusion in country music, more so than ever in the last few years. But like Old Town Road, there's an example.
Oh yeah.
You know, which was like song of the year last year, and it's like, wow, this is country music now. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not trashing on the song, but it's just hilarious that that's what's considered country now.
I think it's garbage.
Yeah.
Heard that? Maybe.
You
know, I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna, yeah.
Okay.
That guy. No, sir, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea either, but
yeah, when I think country music, like you said, I'm thinking of the 90s again, right? The Garth Brooks,
right.
Alan Jackson, Dwight Yoakam. That's like Billy Ray Cyrus, you know?
Oh,
you know, and that's more the kind of stuff that I
you know?
If I listen to a Cyrus, it's Miley.
Yeah.
And you didn't know that that's his daughter though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, when I think
he's
country
badass though, like, you know, if
like,
you actually like, I don't know if you've ever, sorry?
Isn't he like very like humbled and like lives by himself and
Oh, Billy Ray?
Yeah.
He's, you know what, we had him last year. He is like pretty salty of the earth, dude. We had him as our CCMA award show host last year, and I was on the board of directors, and he doesn't, I'll say this, he doesn't have any like arrogance about like being a star. He's just like, yeah, I'm here for the party to hang out with everybody. Like everybody love everybody. And he's not, he doesn't have an arrogant, you know, attitude at all.
That's awesome. Yeah. Miley was on Rogan and she was talking about her dad, and I don't even think he's got a cell phone or anything like that. Yeah.
That's
like,
awesome.
He's like unplugged.
God, that's the dream, man. Like, if I were to win the lottery, I would hire somebody to run my social media and I would smash my phone. I'd buy like 20 more phones just to smash them. Like, it would be awesome. I would, yeah.
And you won the lottery, so you can afford them anyway. So
that's right. Yeah. I would just chew them up for fun.
You see those Facebook things or Instagram things every once in a while? It's like a picture of a cabin in the woods, and it has a text on it like, it's either this or $1 million or something, but the only catch is that you don't have internet in this.
Stay here for like a month with no internet or whatever. Hell yeah, man.
Well,
shit,
no,
I'd go be there for like a year or two.
It's not. Yeah.
You know what? If you paid my salary, like if I made the same amount of money that I made to just like to go to work for the month, I would stay there for 6 months and just be like, yeah, whatever. I'll chop wood and whatever.
And write music, right? And write songs, right?
Yeah, I legit, man. If you give me a guitar and an axe, I'd probably be fine.
If it's not forever, then yeah, sure, I could do that. But
we'll take your wife. Then you guys can mix CDs. Fill your time.
More babies.
Oh, then I'd not go.
What when was, like I said, I didn't do too much digging or anything. When's the last album that you released?
It was in October of last year. So that's that was one of the things that sucked about this year, was that I had, you know, lots of plans to go hit the road and promote it. We did a few shows in the fall last year, you know, CD release shows and that sort of thing, but more the CD release tour kind of thing was going to happen this year. So is what it is. There's more important things in the world that didn't happen. So that's
right. So yeah. So then the show like tomorrow and Sundays, right? So is that kind of like, are you kind of just picking up where you left off sort of thing, or what? Do you know what I mean?
That would have been smart. That's probably how I should think about it. But instead it's like, no, really. I mean, instead, you know, and I've talked to a lot of artists that feel the same way. especially those that have been doing it for 10 or 15 years or longer. Taking a break for a few months, you know, and I had personal stuff going on. Like I mentioned, my dad passed away in May. And so I literally took like 3 months where I didn't touch a guitar. I didn't do anything music related. It was all dead, and I just didn't even want to think about it. And when I've come back to it, it's almost like I still play my old music. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But I've written a bunch of other songs in the last few months, and the 4 shows I've done so far have been more like playing new stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about that today because I've got to, you know, put together a set list for tomorrow night. And you get 4 albums in, and you get, you know, like Prince Albert. I've had a lot of radio play there over the years. So you start thinking, okay, what songs were big in PA of mine, and should I play those, or should I play new stuff or whatever? But for me, I think going forward, it'll be more new stuff. Like, you know, I'll still play. I don't have massive hits that like my fans are going to come out and demand to hear, but you know, there's a handful of songs I'll certainly keep. But I think my sound's evolving as I get older too.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So do you have any of your music on vinyl?
I don't. And you know what? That's something that I think that's one thing I did read about on your sheet though, that you do that. So that's very cool. To be perfectly honest with you, I've never done it because I didn't feel that my music belonged on vinyl. Like my first 4 records. And because to me, like it was, my stuff has always been, and I'm not shitting on my own music. But it's just been a little bit more too much pop country. And to me, like vinyl is got to be an audio experience where there's no compressed drum tones, and there's no, you know, like if I'm going to press, I think my next EP will be on vinyl, because like the stuff I'm writing now is kind of more blues country and more, you know, there'll be more space for organ and more of a organic sound. And so I did look into vinyl with my last record. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought like the audio files are going to like make fun of me for pressing this on vinyl because the song is compressed MP3 of shit. It's just funny how that whole world works. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
how's that for an answer?
I don't know how to respond to that.
So that's a good answer.
Good answer, yeah. So the new stuff that you're writing now, are you doing all the instruments yourself too, or is that with a band? Or
you know, at this point I've just done demos at home. And part of that's just, you know, whatever. I lost a lot of budget that we were going to operate with this year, but I've been doing demos at home where I've been playing parts and stuff myself. And then, like I said, I did take this teaching contract to the end of this year. So my time has been somewhat limited as far as recording new stuff. Having said that, though, I had a conversation with a producer friend about recording a couple songs before the end of the year. So the cool thing about technology these days is that even if we can't all hang out in a studio together, you know, it's crazy some of the programs they have now where I've literally sat at home and like co-produced a session, or not really co-produced, but sat in on a session and watched the drummer and the guitar player and the bass player play in real time in the studio. And I'm not getting like the room sound, I'm getting the audio feed from Pro Tools. And so, I mean, even like the producer I'm going to work with is out in Calgary, and chances are I won't be able to get there to record these tracks, but he'll have these musicians in the room. He'll be able to hook me in so that I can literally listen to the same headphone mix that he is. So having said, you know, that's kind of the plan for this fall, is to record a few more songs, but chances are I'll be sitting in the same spot I am right now when we're doing it.
Huh. It's crazy. And yeah, I guess I
was picturing you do that live on Instagram.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Although, as you're recording it, do like something live, like even for like, I don't know, 2 minutes, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just
certainly.
Show that's what you're doing.
Yeah, behind the scenes, this is how I record my next song. Watch me.
And it's great. Like I said, it's crazy just how that changes now. I mean, if you have good Wi-Fi connections and speed, like I could literally be sitting here doing vocals in real time with the band if I wanted to. 9 times out of 10, I'll send them a a fly-in track that they can play along to. That's me, an acoustic and vocal and a metronome. Just because it's easier than trying to make sure that this is matched up to the same as them and
Right.
whatever they're on the other side. But it's wild to be able to sit here and be like, to listen to the actual headphone mix that the engineer's getting and, tell them what I want while I'm sitting in my sweatpants.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were actually talking to League of Wolves.
Yeah.
And they were saying that they tried to do a live stream, but each band member was in a separate building, and they were trying to harmonize
Zoom or something like that.
It was like a Zoom delay, and it was all shitty. And they were like,
yeah, and that's where Wi-Fi is and that's really funny when that kind of thing happens because you're trying to, even I do a lot of Skype co-writing sessions and stuff, and you try and do something together over top of that, it just doesn't work.
No. Yeah, when we first started doing the remote podcast thing here, we also had an app called Zencaster running beside this. So you would record the HQ audio on your computer and then send it to either you or
I think I've used Zencaster with some baseball podcasts before. I'm sure I've got that app somewhere.
Yeah, and it's great software, but it's like trying to make it all work with video and Zencaster. And then the first artist that we had, she was like, I'm on my phone, now what do I do? We kind of decided like, okay, let's make this simple and just go with Zoom.
We ended up dropping the Zencaster thing too, and then it just ended up being a little bit more work on the tail end, right? Edit it together, and then it was like, oh
well, and these days it's crazy. I mean, like I've got I've sang on other people's albums through my little interface at home, and I've got a Behringer interface that I spent like $90 on, 5 years ago, and get the Audio Technica mics. And it's another shout out to you guys.
Right on. Shout out to Audio Technica.
Thanks, Audio Technica,
it's incredible what the technology is these days. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff from home. I mean, and speaking of Billie Eilish, I mean, there's an example. That kid, she won Grammys with home recorded stuff when she's a teenager. Little prick.
For sure. Yeah, and we don't want to be doing it remotely like this forever. Like Mark and I, the plan is to have people in house. Like we would I'd much rather having you sitting here like 6 feet away from me,
Yeah.
Than looking at you on the screen. But
totally. Well,
you're playing in PA tomorrow, so in our heads, like for us driving to PA is like half an hour. So
right.
Why don't we go there? We have some people there that have studios and jam areas set up. So why wouldn't we invite you into that space for
absolutely
an hour,
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we'll all get back to that normalcy in the world again someday, but in the meantime, it's a good thing this is all happening in an era where we have technology to do some stuff.
Right. Yep.
So let me ask you, after we know you're doing PA Saskatoon this weekend, what do you got going on for the next, I don't know, 2-3 months, or what's next? What's coming ahead? Besides,
what?
I'm talking
not a lot, I'm afraid. It's and I'm talking to other artists and the music industry kind of took a bit of it obviously took a pause in the spring, where everything was shut down. And I think there was a window where people took advantage of the opportunity to do some shows this summer, whether it was outdoor stuff, drive-in stuff, whatever else. But the more that I'm talking to other artists now, especially as we're seeing numbers rising again in Canada and in the United States, I think there's kind of a growing sense that we're all bracing for another break. And it's scary to think about, it's always a risk, especially as an independent artist, to bank on shows or to plan for shows. So the idea, I've had friends, or I've had an artist that reached out to me and wanted to plan a tour in December. And I just said, I can't, give up the job that I'm working right now that's going to pay me the bills, not knowing that, whether this tour is going to happen. And unfortunately, I think that's the reality a lot of musicians are facing this year. So I've got, I am going to be doing some shows in January that are booked, and I've got some shows in March of next year and next shows for next summer that are booked right now. But as far as the rest of the fall goes, it's going to, if something comes up, and it's music industry, I've found in the last few months has been very last minute. Like you get a call, hey, can you play this thing in 3 weeks? Because people are reluctant to plan too far ahead.
Right.
So it's possible I may play a bit more before the end of the year, but it's possible I might be done until 2021 too. And if that's what 2020 has for me, so be it, I guess.
Right.
So how can people support you right now?
Well, you can
get the
go to Chris Henderson Music. Yeah, Chris Henderson Music. E-transfer me at Chris. No. ChrisHendersonMusic.com. It's got all the links to, Spotify and Apple Music and that sort of thing. However, I wouldn't say that's the way to support me. If you want to buy, if you're looking to get music and stuff, you can order CDs off there. And most importantly, if you're in the Prince Albert or Saskatoon area and you have a chance to come out to a show, or if you're seeing me on a bill in the next few months, or see anyone on a bill for that matter, I would encourage people to go out to live music, especially, given that you guys are close to PA, I will give a huge shout out to the EA Rollinson Center. They're keeping things extremely safe. You are in more danger at Walmart than you are at Rollinson Center. If you want to go see a show, then you should feel comfortable doing that there, because they're taking things seriously and doing a good job. Shout
out to Joel, because he works there. He's
Joel Rose?
Yeah, he's a sound guy. So if you
right on.
Joel doing the sound,
I think you're right. Yeah, now that you say that. It's a small world, man. I always see that guy selling gear on Facebook, and I always want to buy his guitars.
Yeah. I almost bought his van. Yeah. Creeper van.
Mark was trying to get me to buy his van. That's what that was.
What?
Isn't that the van that you and Jeremy were trying to tell me to buy?
Oh yeah, so you could sponsor us. Yeah.
He's trying to...
Yeah. So you're the sugar daddy. That's what we found.
I guess so.
All right. Well,
man,
Thanks for hanging out with us. That was
my pleasure, boys. My pleasure.
Awesome.
Actually, that's good timing because my battery's just getting to the nitty gritty here anyway. So,
okay.
Right on.
We're gonna end it then.
Yeah. On that note, good luck this weekend, man.
Thank you very much, boys.
Welcome here anytime, buddy.
I appreciate that, and thanks for reaching out. Like I said, I was making a crack at a bunch of people, because especially in the sports world, it's hilarious. Like I'll get asked to do a podcast like twice a week, and I'm always like, yeah, sure. Let me know when and where, and I never think about it again because it almost never happens. Right. So when you're like, hey, we'll do it. Yeah, right on. You're reaching out. You're taking an initiative. Shit, yeah, I'll come join you.
There you go. We'll do this again for sure.
Yeah, you come.
Sounds good, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Later.
Take care.